the Dodgers emerging as the surprise suitor for Korean second baseman, or is he more than just a second baseman, Hye-Seong Kim. Now, we talked about him very briefly earlier this offseason when he was posted. We did not have him on our top 50 free agent rankings, although we might have put him on there somewhere in the back half had he been posted officially at the time we did our rankings. This is a 26-year-old second baseman who has been one of the better players in the KBO for the last 5-6 years. He hasn't been the best player. He has not been, far and away dominating the league offensively like we saw, totally all around the all-around game like we saw with Hyeseong Kim, who was his teammate with the Kiwoom Heroes. But what he has generally been a very good athletic defensive second baseman who has put the ball in play and steals a bunch of bases. And because players who come from foreign leagues in general, but especially with the KBO where the level of play is much lower than it is in Japan, there is a wide range of opinions about what this guy could be as a hitter, because pitching in Korea is not very good right now. And so you're betting on the athlete and the person to kind of become a good major league hitter as much as taking his KBO numbers and being like, okay, this means he's going to do this in MLB. We saw it with Hyeseong Kim. It took him a little bit of time, and he has, established himself as an above average major league hitter in a very unique way. But because we didn't totally know what teams thought of him as a hitter, there were a lot of different teams involved here. And the fact that the Dodgers ended up signing him to a 3-year, $12 million deal with options to make it 5 years, $22 million, it's kind of a reminder when we talk about prospects and we talk about players, it's like, what is this guy on a championship team, right? Because, yeah, he could go start every day and get 600 plate appearances for the Angels. Like he probably could do that, but that's a very different assignment and a different standard, or even for the Mariners for that matter, who are obviously desperate at this point to acquire an infielder and probably would have given him a lot more playing time. But the Dodgers, the championship team, the gold standard in Major League Baseball, they look at him and they said, you are useful. You are a good player. We believe in you. But you're probably not going to get 300, 400 plate appearances, at least not right away. We view you as a super utility guy. You can play second. You can play short. You can play some outfield, which he played a couple years ago in the KBO. And we're going to have you kind of ease into this, operation that is the Los Angeles Dodgers good baseball club. And you will fit in that way, as opposed to coming in and being like, you're the second baseman and you're going to have to figure it out and you're going to have to figure out major league pitching right away. And I think that tells me a lot about the Dodgers, where obviously he was wanting to go and play into that role, as opposed to somewhere where it's like you get to play immediately. But also it maybe says a lot about, some of these other teams. We heard the Mariners, the Padres were also interested, the Cubs. Those would be different roles, I'm sure. We don't know exactly what those offers were, but the fact that the Dodgers ended up with him when it didn't seem like they needed him, although I can see where they kind of fit. So I'm curious for you, as I've kind of laid out who he is as a player, where do you see him fitting? Because they've already said they're still committed to this Lux Betts middle infield. And we're not really buying that, but I don't know. What do you think?
No. Mookie, it's short. I don't want to talk about that right now. It stresses me out.
Okay. Well, but it's relevant just because if they are going to trade Lux, and maybe I'm totally wrong, and Hye-Seong Kim is going to be their starting second baseman or their starting shortstop, like that is interesting too, because then maybe that's a big evaluation if they are committing to him that's playing every day. But maybe they believe that way. They don't really have any lefty bench bats, so Kim certainly serves that role. I don't know. Also, it's really hard for me to imagine Kike finds his way back at this point. I could be wrong, but he's running out of spots.
You've said that before.
I have, but he's running out of spots here.
My favorite Kim thing, this was a report from Jiho Yu on Twitter. He says, one report quotes a CAA official as saying Shohei Ohtani, a fellow CAA client, met with Kim in the U.S. and, quote, gave him a lot of advice. Hi, I'm Shohei Ohtani. Here's my advice. Sign with the Dodgers. Hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases. If you do that, you're going to be just fine. Yeah. Thanks, Sho. But for real though, I think if you're any player coming to America and you get to sit down and you get to meet with Shohei Ohtani, like that holds weight, right? That had sway.
And again, like we don't know where this offers. Did he take less to go with the Dodgers? Again, I think that this is a good for him to get 3 guaranteed years as a Korean player like that. It's a small group of players that have been able to do that, and to get that from a team like the Dodgers is, I think, impressive. And again, there will be, as it stands right now, very little pressure on him. He can transition in with the best possible resources and the best winning environment and all those things in a way that if he went to some of these other places, he would have been one of the main attractions. And in this way, it's like, great, come be part of this thing, and hopefully it works out. So I'm curious what that ends up looking like, and if the Dodgers do have a more dramatic move in them where Gavin Lux is involved.